Hey everybody, how are you guys today? If you're new here, I'm John.
And I'm Margaret.
And welcome to our YouTube channel. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. So today, we're doing a little bit different of a video. This is a collaboration between us and a couple of other couples, YouTubers out there. They are also in a mixed marriage like us. So this collaboration was put together by Mr. Wong from Two Wongs Make It Right. And then some of the other couples are the Cantonese couple and Rice and Potato. We are living in different areas of the world, so it's very neat to be able to do this together. So I'm going to leave their YouTube channels in the description below, so you guys check them out if you have a chance. I think they call this the Couples Tag. Don't really know what that means. Never really done one of these until Mr. Wong contacted me about it. So we're just going to go through and answer some questions about our marriage, our relationship, and hopefully you guys get to know us a little better. Question number 1. What is your ethnicity?
So I'm naturally born American, born here, raised here, and both of my parents are also American, Caucasian.
I'm a little more complicated. See, I was born in Vietnam. So my dad is actually a Vietnamese born person. But my mom, although she was born in Vietnam, both her parents, they originated from China. They ran away from a war and they ran to Vietnam and they lived there. When people ask me, I'm like, oh yeah, I was born in Vietnam, but actually I would consider myself half Vietnamese and half Chinese. People don't really know that about me. And like on my dad's side of the family, I would communicate to them, you know, like when I call my uncle, I would use the Vietnamese term, but when I communicate with my mom's side of the family, I would use Chinese term that says uncle or aunt. Question number 2 for this is somewhat of a play off of question number 1. Where were you born and
Where did we grow up?
Where did you grow up? Yes.
So I was born in the United States and grew up in the state of Alabama. So sometimes you can hear a southern accent in there. It's very real.
And believe it or not, people ask what kind of accent that is all the time.
Yeah.
I was born in Vietnam, in case you didn't know, and I grew up there till when I was about 11 years old. Then my parents decided to send me abroad for a better education and a better future. I did a couple of videos talking about that, so I'll link it up here if you're interested in watching about that. I'm actually stopped by in Canada for 2 years. And then I came to the States when I was 13, and I've been here ever since. Question number 3. Did you ever think you would date and or marry outside of your race?
That would be a definite no until I met you. And then the cuteness level just won me over. But no, I did not. That would not have been a plan of mine growing, especially being raised here in the South. That would not have. But we met and took a hot minute and quite a few months, but decided it was might go somewhere.
So for me, when I was growing up in Vietnam, I really didn't ever think so. But you know, what do you know when you are 9, 10, 11, 12? But then once I moved to Canada, I didn't really date anybody. And then when I moved to the U.S., it started to be the dating age. The thing about it is, I didn't ever think, oh yeah, I'm going to go and marry an American girl. It's usually because it's who I'm surrounded by all the time. You know, I went to a school where it was predominantly white. My best friends, ever since I came to the States, were white. And then I got adopted by my adopted parents, who are also white. So it's just who I surround myself with, and eventually that's the culture I wanted to immerse myself in. But if I had to be honest, I've always been more attracted to the complexion of a Caucasian girl over an Asian girl. I can't tell you why. I guess that's what they say, opposite attract. But yeah, so that's a long story for saying no, but kinda, and then yes. But I've never dated an Asian girl. So, always been...
But if you want to get into the blondes, the redheads, and the brunettes, we could go there, but I won't.
So, this question is a little more serious, so we'll take it a little more serious. What did our families and friends think when we started dating? As far as, mixed culture.
Well, for me, I had known him for a while, and other people in my family had met him because of where we met at church. And so we had known his adopted parents for a while. So a lot of our friends at church already knew that we were working in Sunday school together and everything. A lot of my friends already knew that we were kind of talking in Sunday school before we actually started dating. And
they knew she was chasing me the whole time.
But as far as my family goes, I think that was different for them. So John was super guy to date, right? He had the great degree. He was already out and working. And the guy's pretty handsome. I think when we started looking at, who you're going to marry, for them, they wanted to know culturally wise, was he going to be everything that they thought I needed in a husband? For instance, Asian cultures, the wife walks behind the husband, or they are secondary to the man. And of course, that's not how I grew up. So questions like that, my parents asked me at first, just trying to figure out where he was at on some of those things. But honestly, when I told a lot of people who I was dating, they were like, oh man, he is cute. And I was like, yeah, I know. Hello, why I'm dating him. So I think it was something to get used to, but at the same time, when you already knew him, it just kind of fell into line and everybody was like, oh, I can see why you like him, hope that goes well for you. So that's kind of where I started out at.
Well, for me, it's a mix because one, I have my Asian family over here because I still have relatives over here and my parents in Asia. And then I have my Caucasian adopted parents over here that look at this differently. So obviously my American parents have no issues with it whatsoever because I think that is what it all boils down to, those three things: the culture, the food, and the language barrier. And so my adopted family and my friends have no issues with it whatsoever because, they knew she understands the culture. She eats the same food and she speaks the same language as them, so they get along just fine. Over here, my family, my Asian family was, concerned, but they've always been not so much about her, but any girls I dated. Like I said, since they were all American, they got a different culture, a different food selection, and different dialect. As you see some of my videos, I had to translate for her to talk to my mom, and they were concerned at first, but, ultimately it boils down to what the two of us wanted, and we fell in love and we wanted to get married, and they are supportive of that. Things are lightening up here the last 5 questions. What languages do we speak?
English. Plus, I have learned how to say I love you in Vietnamese. And growing up, I also took quite a few Spanish courses. Because of where I work, we do have a lot of Spanish-speaking people. And so I can do a little bit of that as well, but by no means fluent. And I also understand baby language pretty well. I work with babies.
She talks baby language pretty well. I was born, raised to speak Vietnamese, and then I learned English. So I would say I'm fluent in both languages. I'm probably a little better at English than I am in Vietnamese because I spend more time speaking in English. And I don't write as well in Vietnamese anymore. I took 4 or 5 years of Spanish in high school, so I kind of understand some, but I don't use it, so I kind of lost it. And then now I learned to understand baby language because I live with one.
He's getting so good at it.
All right, so the next question is, what are some stereotypes for my culture, and are they true?
Well, the first stereotype that comes to mind, it's just because I see it so often, is, taking off their shoes before they come into a house. Now, I do that when I get home from work because I think my hospital shoes are kind of nasty. But other than that, I don't take off my shoes.
I think she should. Until COVID-19, in which all shoe stays outside.
Well, that's true. Just because. This last thing, it's been very interesting for me to figure out. When we go to see his Asian family, there's no such thing as like knocking on the door or ringing the doorbell. I mean, it just doesn't exist. He just goes up to that side door and he walks right on in. So the way I figured that out personally was when I was cooking in my kitchen one day, and the next thing I know, one of his family members just walks right on in. Hi, Sean here. And I was like, hi. Yeah, he's out back. Very non-American custom right there.
All right, well, some American stereotypes, and are they true? I don't know that I should speak on this because I lived here since I was little, but there are some stereotypes, such as, I joked with my mom one time, I said American takes something so healthy and they make it unhealthy because they eat cheese on everything. Okay, we were having broccoli one night and it was broccoli and cheese, and I was like, broccoli is so healthy for you until you drench it in cheese.
But it tastes better.
My wife here, before she got introduced to the Asian culture, she was putting cheese on fried rice.
It was so good. Mozzarella.
That is so disgusting. So that's one. They take really healthy food and make it not healthy. The other stereotype that people used to tell me when I was little, and it is true, is most Americans are independent. So in the Asian culture, if we're friends, say if we're just normal friends, and I said, hey, you want to go get lunch, I'm obligated to pay for the meal. In America, it's not. So she and I go get lunch, we get our own tickets. So, food. What is your favorite Asian dish?
I would say a dead tie between chicken lo mein and pho.
Pho?
I'm just going to leave that there.
Both
of those are really good.
We have a disagreement on how you say that, okay? She said pho.
That's how I hear it. But I don't disagree with you. I've always called it what you do, pho.
All I'm saying is I was born eating this.
You were, dear, and
Yeah,
you eat
so,
it so
but
well.
she doesn't believe me when I
I do
tell her.
believe it. I believe you 100%.
For me, it's a dead tie between hamburgers and pizza. Oh, I love me some pizza.
Not steak?
No. I can eat pizza for breakfast. I can eat pizza for
Well, that's
lunch.
true.
I can eat pizza for dinner. I need pizza for a snack. I need pizza anytime. Frozen, any kind. Thin crust, thick
Okay.
crust, stuffed crust, any.
When he was still getting his master's, I was on the phone with him one night. He was walking on campus. He had been studying and he was leaving. And we're talking, and all of a sudden I hear him say, oh, yes, thank you. I'm so hungry. And he said some guy was handing out pizza in a box outside of the library. I was like, you took a random piece of pizza from a random person on campus at night? Thankfully, he was okay, but apparently that's how much the man loves pizza. He will take it out of a box, unwrapped from a complete stranger. I don't recommend it.
Who's going to drug pizza? Everybody loves pizza.
That's why people would drug it.
This one, do people stare at you when you go on dates? I don't know. I don't really notice a lot of people stare at us when we go on dates, but we live in a very small town, and a lot of people know who we are.
But too, we have the university here, and it is a very culturally diverse university. Now, I will say I have seen it sometimes.
The one obvious time I have, and I'll put this clip in here, is one of the first time we went to Atlanta together to get our paperwork, and we're in a supermarket, and I was showing her some food and stuff. This one Asian lady was like staring us down, and I have no clue why, except for the fact that she's white and I'm not. But I'm convinced that if us and my parents go in the restaurant, they would think that she belongs to them.
Oh, absolutely. I bet so.
Are there any conflicts in our relationship because of cultural differences? I would say very minor ones.
What would you say they are?
I think a lot of it is food. We have some minor differences about food.
He put soy sauce on all my food practically.
Yeah.
I can make a fantastic meal and I look over and sure enough, that man is either putting sriracha or soy sauce on it. And trust me, soy sauce does not belong on chicken and rice casserole. Let me just put that right
But
there.
sriracha belongs on everything. I could eat rice for a week straight, no problem, twice a day. And she can't really do that.
Most people can't. It's not normal.
I bet you 80% of people watching this video can. But I think the thing is, what helps our relationship avoid some of those conflicts is I was raised here and I was raised by Americans. So I don't have some of that ingrained Asian culture in me. And I think that helps us a lot. So we don't really have a lot of conflicts, I would say. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, number 10. What have we learned from our interracial relationship? Take the first stab at it, honey.
You take the first stab at it.
Well, it's going to be a little different for me when speaking about stuff like this because the majority of my life I was raised by Americans. I live with Americans. My friends are Americans. And by Americans, I mean like not Asian. And, you know, they could be white, they could be black. I think what we learn in our relationship really has nothing to do with the interracial part. It has a lot to do with the relationship part, which all couples learn about each other. This question is somewhat hard because we don't have a lot of cultural differences to begin with. What will be a difficulty for our relationship I see down the road as we settle down and have a family and all that, is going to be my children are going to have 3 sets of grandparents and they speak 2 different dialects. And how are we going to handle that? I think that will be a difficulty down the road. Do I teach my kids Vietnamese at all? If I don't, how are they going to communicate to my biological parents? That is going to be a problem down the road for us. When we go and visit my parents in Asia, you know, that there will be some difficulties there because she doesn't speak Vietnamese and they don't speak English. So bottom line is we don't have a lot of differences in our marriage as far as culture goes, but there are a lot of differences from the external factors that we have.
I think most of what we will have to work through from being an interracial married couple are still to come. I think that's kind of where you're going with it. We're not facing them at present. But I mean, he has a good point. Like if he teaches our kids Vietnamese, are, you know, the kids and daddy going to be having this great little conversation about mommy and mommy can't tell what they're saying? That will be something really weird. I'm going to want to know what y'all are saying. So I think our differences or our struggles are still to come. Watch out for a video in 5 years on how he and the kids talk behind my back or right in front of me. And I still don't know what they're saying.
This video probably very long. I bet it's 30 minutes right now, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And if you made it all the way here, I appreciate you watching it. If you're new here, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you subscribe and come back for more. Check out other videos. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I hope you check out the other channels that are also doing this collaboration. I will leave the link and a link to the videos in the description below. And if you hear from their channels, thank you so much for visiting. I hope you learned something about our marriage. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, I'll see you next video.
Bye.
Bye. Shh.